Hey, 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 good afternoon. It is 1:11 p.m. and I am bringing you Bell Collective. So it'll be starting here soon, y'all. Y'all just get ready, get ready, get ready. Get ready. I'm actually excited for this episode because this is one of my favorite episodes. And a little sweet little baby is featured in this episode. And I said, "Oh, she is too cute. She is too cute. Beautiful, beautiful baby." And I'm like, "Yeah, we finally get the introduction to Miss Little London Simone." Sure do. We definitely do. Okay, we are live. We are live. We are live. Okay, so we start. So it's Bell Collective, season 7, episode 8. Let me reintroduce myself. So it starts with Tambra, who is staying with. She has moved in with her parents, her mom and her dad, and she's mainly coming in to help her mom out because she's trying to help out her dad because she had that health scare and she didn't know if her dad had was going to be okay, if he had a stroke or what's going on. So she said that she's extremely, extremely, extremely close to her family. And if we know Tambra, and like I remember ever since season 1, she was very, very close with her parents. Okay. And her dad, she was a daddy's girl. So what she said was that she just always wanted to, be a responder. And she had, of course, she had Damon to watch London Simone, and the baby isn't with her. She's with she's with Damon, excuse me. And then Latrice comes over and she brings a pretty, pretty bouquet of yellow flowers. And then she, of course, greets her mom with a hug. And then she puts the flowers down. And beforehand, we did show a montage of, not a montage, but just a scene of Tamara helping her father to his bedroom so that he could, get the appropriate rest, adequate amount of rest so he can go take a nap. Okay. So Latrice comes in and she says that she's always, it was a confessional, and she said that she's always going to be there for Tambra. And she said that it was a scene, it was a feeling of when Tambra, and they found out about Tambra and the state of what's going on. Then herself, Latrice, and Selena, they both bawled out crying on the bus. And I don't know if y'all remember this from the previous episode when Tambra said that she, what was going on with her father, and she said also that she was gonna just take pretty much, I just knew she was gonna take a minute, you know, to with her parents. And it's understood. It's definitely understood. Okay. So, you know, Latrice, she shows up. And of course, she's comforting her and she shows up to just talk to her and then, be messy and all that stuff. And, Tambra can be a little messy too. So they was talking about, how, what's her name? Letitia. Letitia was up in there and talk about the state of Hondaman and all this stuff and how they be being messy and all this stuff and how that they're being messy towards her, talking about some Damon and her were, really wasn't together. They just got together just to have a baby. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why they pinning situations and stories on people that was like cookie cut and cookie cutter episode, and that seemed like that was for Miss Letitia. That's her and Glenn. And so don't put that shit on nobody else. And so they was just gossiping, just catching her up because of course Tamara wasn't there. Okay, and Gracefully next. And then let's see where we at. Then it goes to Letitia. Well, hold on, y'all. I forgot something. So they was talking about just gossiping and all this stuff, and then they talking about the baby rumor about Selena's fiance Mike, and then Latrice also says that she is going to be in both of her friends' corners at all times, gracefully next, because we know that's how Latrice is. She's a good friend. And then she always is helping, and she's always been a helpful person. That if someone is going through a tough time, then she always will help. Okay. Gracefully next. And then we get to Letitia and Glenn, and they go for a massage. No masseuse shows up at all. This just was for a scene, y'all. And I quickly figured that out. Then Glenn asked, did he first come to the event? And Letitia said, no, he is on a leave of absence. Then Glenn gonna say in a slick ass way that he needs to be fired. And I'm like, no, sir, you do not, she does not need to fire him. Okay. Then he gonna come out for him to all come out of his mouth and then say that he think that he can manage her. He think he can manage her career. And I'm like, nigga, no, you can't manage her. You don't know nothing first. You don't even know your ABCs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't know shit, Glenn. Okay. And then she was testing him like Letitia. She was testing him and she said, okay, well, if you want to be my manager, what does a manager do? He gonna say to manage the person. I'm like, nah, baby. No, 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 no. You don't know the first thing. What you're supposed to do as a manager is make sure that all of the talent, like if they have an upcoming show, if they have an upcoming photo shoot, you're gonna have to check the calendar that you're supposed to make for the client and make sure that they're gonna get to this photo shoot or they're gonna get to this movie premiere or what. Okay, and then you're supposed to check emails, and then you're supposed to make calls to the clients or the movie theaters or whoever. You're supposed to manage your talent that way, and you have to make sure that the person is all up in. Okay, so nigga, you don't know the first thing about talent. Okay, and being no manager, and then that's when Letitia, she said that it's not gonna happen, Glenn. Okay, and it's not gonna happen, and says that it is her business. It is business only. And then she said that relationship needs to stay business only, and then no personal. Because when you intertwine stuff like that, and I'm speaking for myself, when you intertwine stuff like that, then that's when stuff gets sticky and all that. And ain't nobody got time to be fucking up shit even more than you already done fucked it up. And it's better for talking about something better for him to manage her. And I'm like, nigga, please. And then Marie meets, gracefully next, y'all, sorry. And the next thing is when Marie meets with her son to talk about her son Jay. And they talk about, he says that he wants to stay, and he says that he wants to, start a dispensary. And I'm like, please, oh my goodness. And then Marie said, you have to build on the things that you have already first before you can jump to something else. Okay. And then Jay says that he thinks that it is good, it is a good deal, it is a good look, and all this stuff. And with her, continuing to push him, because I just need you to push me, Ma. This is what he said. He need her to push him, constantly push him, and all this stuff. Okay, and be there for the money. And then it's found out that he has a savings, and all her kids have savings, is what I'm saying. And he has a savings that's saved up. And what he's saying that he think that what he gonna do with the money is start a dispensary and I listen this and that. And then it just seemed like he just trying to build solely off of what his mama got going and all this stuff. And I'm like, as soon as she give you that money for the dispensary, I mean, I don't know, but what it's looking like from the interaction that he was giving and all that stuff, and what he was giving out there outside playing, I guess he was playing in that park and all that, and he got dropped off and all that stuff. And then it's an inheritance. Then it's time to leave though. He ain't say much about the business stuff, and it's just like he was just saying something just to have a scene and all this stuff. And I quickly clocked it. Okay. And it's time to go. And then she said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You going with me? He said, yeah, I'm going with you because I got dropped off. There you go. Gracefully next. And then we get to Carrie and Matt and talking to Glenn about how he is not fit, you know, to be his wife's manager. And I'm like, you know that you're not fit, Glenn. You know that you're not fit to be nobody's manager. You don't even know the first thing about business. You don't know the first thing about tying shoes. And then the only reason why you was able to get to that photo shoot and what she was doing is because you made sure that the damn location tracker was still on. And then that seemed like some stalker shit right there. But one would say maybe it's not stalking because it's her husband, but I say that it is. Okay, impeding yourself in other business that don't involve you. And then if you just think about a nigga, the money that's gonna be made from her on her end, it's gonna benefit you and the whole household. So he's just not smart. And I'm like, no, sir. You don't know the business of Q. And then you had to listen to what Matt was saying. You need to listen to what Carrie was saying. And they both said that he don't have business senses. And he don't. Gracefully next. And then we get to Tambra, and she is at the Smith Robinson Museum. And she says that she is so grateful. And then London Simone and Damon are there preparing the event for in the event space. And London Simone, she is too cute, y'all, is at the rollout for the event. And Latrice shows first, and then Cliff, and then Carrie, then Matt, and then Letitia and Glenn, and then Marie. They are all greeted with champagne. And she says it is the Museum of Timbre, right? And she shows her parents and shows that her parents have been successfully married for 57 years, where she comes from. She comes from that background. They've been successfully married for 57 years. Then she says that as a child, her leg was broken at a daycare, and that's why she's so hard and she's so, protective over London Simone, and just stay with her, had her just stay under her at the house. Okay. And you have to do stuff like that these days because it ain't no reason why that baby's leg was broken. Why her leg was broken, excuse me. So that's her reasons. And everybody should understand how Tambra feels and why she wasn't pushing her baby to be, going to no daycare and all this stuff. So we get to her, and then she said shows her cheerleading outfit. And she said that she was the co-captain. And she says, that's why I'm so loud. And that's why I always am so energetic because I was the co-captain of a cheerleading team. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, girl, co-captain. Okay. And then she also gets on the serious side. And she says that she has had fibroids since her 20s. And she had a surgery that removed 37 fibroids. Okay. And when London Simone was born, she said she was in ICU, right? Tampa was in ICU. Then London Simone was in the NICU, and she brings out London Simone then on a better note, a sweet note, and she comes out in her own little pink, car, uh-huh, in her little car, and she gave her man the look Like, I'm tired. And this London Simone, baby, she gave her daddy the look like, I'm tired. I'm ready to go. She came out in her car. Everybody got that oohs, eyes. Oh, she's so cute. Oh, she's so cute. And here go the first thing that big mouth ass Marie gonna say, well, oh, you just didn't kept this baby away from me. And then Letitia fake ass said the same thing. She said, oh, you just kept this baby away from us for so long. And I'm like, bitch, do you blame her? I wouldn't have wanted my baby to be around y'all's negative ass energy neither. Okay. And then that's the first thing Letitia said. She said, well, now I understand. Now I understand why she was keeping her so private and stuff like that. No, the hell you don't understand. Okay. Then Damon said that he has to go to work. And, he said he'll be back and he see her at 7. Okay. And then Cliff had to just stop him in his tracks. He had to stop Damon in his tracks and say that if you want to, then we can hang. You can hang with the guys, and we can just have a guy chat and shit like that. I'm like, okay, Cliff, don't start that shit. Don't be being messy and nobody's no good relationship and all that stuff. Okay. Gracefully next. Then back to Tambra, and she says that she wants to talk with the women about what Shantae said to her. And Shantae says that it's a rumor, right? But it came from a reliable source. And if y'all know Shantae, that's Shantae. And Tampa said that Damon and her met Juice, the man that they were saying that Tampa was supposed to be talking to, and that was supposed to be her real boyfriend and not Damon, and they wasn't even together and stuff like that. Now this came from Shantae, right? And then Glenn talking, so they got that. She nipped that shit in the bud and she said, well, listen, we already met with him and we already got this squared away and shit like that. Okay. And we get to Glenn, and Glenn talking about how he wants Marie, he wants to bond with, sorry, y'all, he wants to bond with Letitia. And he is ready to be outside. And then Letitia said that she just ready to be outside, trying to be back to what wants to bumble Letitia. Sorry, y'all. And then Marie said that she wants to be back outside, and that's what she telling the ladies, that she is ready to be outside and date. And and then Carrie said that she is a matchmaker. And Marie says that she did mm, have she did have a relationship with a woman, she said, when she was 18 back in college and all this stuff. And what she said is she said she did her, but she didn't do her. And I'm like, Marie, shut the hell up. Okay. It's irrelevant. And last portion, we get to Latrice, Cliff, and Letitia and Glenn. They say that they will plan a double date at some point in time because they trying to double date and all this stuff. I said, okay, I guess everything else that was going on with Latrice and Letitia just then went out the roof and out the window and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the double date they say gonna be had. And I forgot to mention that Selena and Mike, they was talking and all this stuff. Selena and Mike, and they was talking and all this and that. They wasn't really saying nothing. That's why I didn't include all that. Gracefully next. And gracefully good. Have a good day. Have a good Sunday. And y'all have a great, great Easter in your Easter celebration. And I want y'all to do me a favor and like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel to become a part of the Jazzy fam. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, my Jazzy fam. Happy Easter. Bye.